This session, we are going to be talking about sectors of economy. Introduction. An economic sector is a certain type of business activity within an economy. Economics is a part of the social structure of a society and is concerned with how people produce and consume goods and services. What types of goods and services are produced and consumed in a society depend on geography and social customs. A nation's economy can be divided into various sectors to define the proportion of the population engaged in the activity sector. The continuum starts with the primary sector, which concerns itself with the utilization of raw materials from earth, such as agriculture and mining. From there, the distance from the raw materials of the earth increases. The secondary sector of the economy manufactures finished goods. All of manufacturing, processing and construction lies within the secondary sector. The tertiary sector of the economy is the service industry. This sector provides services to the general population and to businesses. The quaternary sector of the economy consists of intellectual activities. Activities associated with this sector include government, culture, libraries, scientific research, education, and information technology. Some consider there to be a branch of the quaternary sector called the quinary sector, which includes the highest levels of decision making in a society or economy. This sector would include the top executives or officials in such fields as government, science, universities, non-profit, healthcare, culture, and the media. Evolution of an economy. During early civilization, all economic activity was in primary sector. When the food production became surplus, people's needs for other products increased. This led to the development of secondary sector. The growth of secondary sector spread its influence during Industrial Revolution in 19th century. After growth of economic activity, a support system was the need to facilitate the industrial activity. Certain sectors like transport and finance play an important role in supporting the industrial activity. Moreover, more shops were needed to provide goods in people's neighborhood. Ultimately, other services like tuition, administrative support developed. There are different ways of dividing the sectors of the economy, but one common method is called the three-sector hypothesis, which divides major economic activity into number 1, primary sector, number 2, secondary sector, number 3, tertiary sector. Primary sector of economy. The primary sector of the economy is the sector of an economy making direct use of natural resources. The primary sector of the economy extracts or harvests products from the earth. It includes the production of raw material and basic food. Activities associated with the primary sector include agriculture, forestry, farming, grazing, hunting and gathering, fishing, mining and extraction of oil and gas. This sector is called primary sector because it forms the base for all other products that we subsequently make. Primary sector involves the retrieval and production of raw materials such as corn, coal, wood and iron. A coal miner and a fisherman would be workers in the primary sector. This is contrasted with the secondary sector producing manufactured goods and the tertiary sector producing services. The primary sector is usually most important in less developed countries and typically less important in industrial countries. The manufacturing industries that aggregate, pack, package, purify or process the raw materials close to the primary producers are normally considered part of this sector, especially if the raw materials is unsuitable for sale or difficult to transport long distances. Primary industry is a larger sector in developing countries. For instance, animal husbandry is more common in Africa than in Japan. Primary economic sector, agriculture. When the economic activity depends mainly on exploitation of natural resources, then that activity comes under the primary sector. Since most of the natural products we get are from agriculture, agriculture and agriculture related activities are the primary sectors of the economy. In developed countries, primary industry becomes more technologically advanced, for instance, the mechanization of farming as opposed to hand picking and planting. In more developed economies, additional capital is invested in primary means of production. As an example, in the United States, Corn Belt combines harvesters pick the corn and spray systems distribute large amounts of insecticides, herbicides and fungicides, producing a higher yield than is possible using less capital intensive techniques. These technologically advanced and investments allow the primary sector to require fewer workforces, and this way developed countries tend to have a smaller percentage of their workforce involved in primary activities, instead having a higher percentage involved in the secondary and tertiary sectors. Developed countries are allowed to maintain and develop their primary industries even further due to excess wealth. This allows developed countries to be able to export their agricultural products at extraordinarily low prices. This makes them extremely competitive against those of poor or underdeveloped countries that maintain free market policies and low or non-existent tariffs to counter them. This sector generally takes the output of the primary sector and manufactures finished goods. These products are then either exported or sold to domestic consumers and to places where they are suitable for use by other businesses. This sector is often divided into light industry and heavy industry. Many of these industries consume large amounts of energy and require factories and machineries to convert the raw materials into goods and products. They also produce waste materials and waste heat that may pose environmental problems or cause pollution. Secondary sector is the next step after primary, where the product is not produced by nature but has to be made. Some process of manufacturing is essential. It could be in a factory, a workshop or home. Therefore, the secondary sector of the economy manufactures finishing goods. All of manufacturing, processing and construction lies within the secondary sector. When the main activity involves manufacturing, then it is the secondary sector. All industrial production where physical goods are produced come under the secondary sector. Activities associated with the secondary sector include metal working and smelting, automobile production, textile production, chemical engineering industries, aerospace manufacture, energy utility engineering, brewery and bottlers, construction and shipbuilding. It involves the transformation of raw materials into goods, example manufacturing steel into cars. A builder and a dressmaker would be workers in the secondary sector. Division of secondary sectors are as follows: aerospace manufacturing, automotive industry, brewing industry, chemical industry, textile industry, consumer electronics, energy industry, steel production, tobacco industry, etc. Tertiary sector of the economy. The tertiary sector of the economy is the service industry. Therefore, tertiary sector of the economy, also known as the service sector or the service industry. This sector provides services to the general population and to businesses. Activities associated with this sector include retail and wholesale sales, transportation and distribution, entertainment like movies, television, radio, music, theatre, etc., and restaurants, clerical services, media, tourism, insurance, banking, healthcare, and law. In most developed and developing countries, a growing proportion of workers are devoted to the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector are the activities that help in the development of the primary sector and the secondary sector. These activities by themselves do not produce goods, but they are an aid and support to the production process. An example which shows how the tertiary sector acts as an aid to primary sector is transportation. Goods that are produced in the primary sector need to be transported by trucks or trains and then sold in the wholesale and retail shops. The service sector consists of the soft parts of the economy, that is, activities where people offer the knowledge and time to improve productivity, performance, potential, and sustainability. The basic characteristics of this sector is the production of services instead of products. Services is also known as intangible goods. This include attention, advice, experience, and discussion. The production of information is generally also regarded as a service, but some economists now attribute it to a fourth sector, the quaternary sector. The tertiary sector of industry involves the provision of services to other businesses as well as final consumers. Services may involve the transport, distribution, and sale of goods from producer to consumer, as may happen in wholesaling and retailing. The goods may be transformed in the process of providing the service, as happens in the restaurant industry. However, the focus is on people interacting with people and serving the customer rather than transforming physical goods. For the last few years, there has been a substantial shift from the primary and secondary sectors to the tertiary sector in industrialized countries. This shift is called tertiarization. The tertiary sector is now the largest sector of the economy in the Western world and is also the fastest growing sector both in developing and developed countries. Examples of service sector employment include government, healthcare or hospitals, public health, waste disposal, education, banking, insurance, financial services, legal services, consulting, news media, hospitality industry, example restaurants, hotels and casinos, tourism, retail sales, franchising, real estate and sales. Quaternary sector. The quaternary sector of the economy consists of intellectual activities. Activities associated with this sector include government, culture, libraries, scientific research, education, and information technology. The quaternary sector of the economy is a way to describe a knowledge-based part of the economy which typically includes services such as information generation and sharing, information technology, consultation, education, research and development, financial planning, and other knowledge-based services. The quaternary sector refers to a part of the third or tertiary sector along with the quinary economic sector. It has been argued that an intellectual service is distinct enough to warrant a separate sector and not be considered merely as a part of the tertiary sector. This sector evolves in well-developed countries and requires a highly educated workforce. In the quaternary sector, companies invest to ensure further expansion. It is seen as a way to generate higher margins or returns on investment. According to some definitions, the quaternary sector involves other pure services such as the entertainment industry. The quaternary sector consists of those industries providing information services such as computing and ICT, information and communication technologies, consultancy, which offers advice to businesses, and R&D, which is the research and development, particularly in scientific fields. The quaternary sector is sometimes included with the tertiary sector as they are both service sectors. Quinary sector. Some consider there to be a branch of the quaternary sector called the quinary sector, which includes the highest levels of decision making in a society or economy. This sector would include the top executives or officials in such fields as government, science, universities, non-profit organization, healthcare, culture, and the media. The quinary sector could also be seen as a further division of the tertiary sector, which is a part of the economy that provides services. The quinary sector is one of the symbolic and intellectual power as well. Examples of services located in the quinary sector are categorized as the highest level of services, including scientists and top level business managers. Other classifications of economy. Based on the working conditions and environment, sectors of economy can be classified as organized sectors and unorganized sectors. Organized sector. The sector which carries out all activity through a system and follows the law of the land is called organized sector. Moreover, labor rights are given due respect and wages as per the norms of the country and those of the industry. Labor working organized sector get the benefit of social security net as framed by the government. Certain benefits like Provident Fund, leave, entitlement, medical benefits and insurance are provided to the workers in the organized sector. These security provisions are necessary to provide source of sustenance in case of disability or death of the main breadwinner of the family. Otherwise, the dependents will face a bleak future. Benefits of organized sectors. Number 1, paid leave and paid during holidays. Number 2, Provident Fund. Number 3, gratuity. Number 4, medical benefits. Number 5, workers get pension after retirement, etc. Unorganized sector. The unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. The sector which evade most of the laws and don't follow the system come under unorganized sector. Small shopkeepers, some small scale manufacturing units keep all the attention on profit making and ignore their workers' basic rights. Workers don't get adequate salary and other benefits like leave, health benefits, and insurance are beyond the imagination of people working in unorganized sectors. Disadvantages in unorganized sectors are: number 1, there is no provision for overtime, paid leave, holidays, leave due to sickness, etc. Number 2, employment is not secure. Example, farmers work on their own and hire laborers as and when they require. Government from time to time announces and implements various employment schemes to fight unemployment or hidden employment to help the weaker section of society. Schemes like NREG, that is the National Rural Employment Guarantee. Such program guarantees a minimum of 100 days of employment to at least one person from every rural household. This is part of government's effort to ensure the right to work to the rural poor citizen. Public sector. Companies which are run and financed by the government comprise the public sector. Post-independence, India was a very poor country. India needed huge amount of money to set the manufacturing plants for basic items like iron and steel, aluminium, fertilizers and cements. Additionally, infrastructure like roads, railways, ports and airports also require huge investment. In those days, Indian entrepreneur was not cash rich, so government had to start creating big public sector enterprises like SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Commission. Public sector provides facilities to the workers like fixed employment and fixed hours of working. The main aim of this sector is to provide public welfare. Example of public sectors are Indian Railways, hospitals, parks, libraries, etc. Qualities of public sector: A. Job security, B. Generous benefits, C. More relaxed atmosphere. Private sector. Companies which are run and financed by private people comprise the private sector. Companies like Hero Honda, Tata are from private sectors. Government aided schemes to fight unemployment. Private sector does not provide fixed employment and fixed working hours to the workers. The main aim of this sector is to make profits for themselves. Qualities of private sector: number 1, more opportunities for promotion as the company grows. Number 2, these jobs tend to pay higher. Number 3, more prestige and the private sector is supposedly more efficient. Number 4, less bureaucracy. Conclusion: goods move through a chain of production. The chain of production follows the construction of a good from its extraction as a raw material through to its final sale to the consumer. For example, a piece of wood is cut from a felled tree is primary sector. It is made into a table by a carpenter, which belong to secondary sector, and finally sold in shop represents tertiary sector of economy. Some businesses have elements of all sectors in their chain of production. Other businesses choose to specialize. A developed nation's dependency shifts from primary sector towards tertiary sector in all aspects of economic development. Secondary and tertiary sector have failed to generate enough employment opportunities, making a pressure on primary sector. Although educated and skilled workforce do get employed in secondary and tertiary sector, but for unskilled and semi-skilled workers, there is still shortage of employment avenues in most of the developing countries. Thank you.